Welcome to DriverDTrains. Thanks for stopping by. I'm your host, Driver D. Our conductor and brakeman, Scratchy-C, is glad to be back on the job. In my last video, I showed you how to configure DCC-EX to connect to your home Wi-Fi network, as well as how to add an automation in DCC-EX to turn on your track power when the command station boots. If you haven't already seen that video, be sure to check it out. In this video, I'll show you how to add and configure a digital LCD display to your DCC-EX command station. Both of these videos are part of a series on how to assemble and configure a DCC-EX command station to control your trains. In the next video, we'll revisit the Wi-Fi shield to make sure it has the correct firmware. In later videos, we'll look at how to use JMRI with DCC-EX to program our DCC locomotives and run our trains. Be sure to check this video's description for links to the other videos in the series, as well as the various websites and products I mention here. Also, if you are enjoying the videos, please leave a comment and hit the like button. It's getting cold out here, but the cab in the locomotive is warm, so climb on board and let's get rolling. Adding a digital LCD display to DCC-EX. Now that we've added and configured a Wi-Fi shield to our DCC-EX command station and learned how to use the Y-Throttle app to control our trains, let's add a digital LCD display to the command station. This is an extremely useful feature that lets us see the status of the command station at a glance. We'll also learn how to configure DCC-EX to add a few custom features to the display. Here are the items on today's waybill. First, we'll purchase a compatible LCD display for our Arduino Mega microcontroller. We'll also make sure we have some suitable jumper wires. Then we'll wire up and connect the LCD display to our DCC-EX command station. After that, we'll update the DCC-EX software in the Arduino IDE to make sure it is properly configured for the LCD display we're using, and learn how to customize the information shown in the display. Finally, we'll put together a simple case for our DCC-EX command station and run some trains. It's warm up here in the cab, so don't fall asleep at the throttle. This is a fast freight, so stay alert, and we'll be at our destination before the coffee is cold. Adding a digital LCD display to DCC-EX. Step 1. Purchase an LCD display and jumper wires if needed. Now that we're ready to add an LCD display to our DCC-EX command station, we need to order the necessary parts. There are just two items we'll need to get started: the LCD display and some jumper wires, and we probably already have the wires. I'll include links for both of these items in this video's description. LCD displays come in a variety of sizes, and there are two sizes that DCC-EX is compatible with: a 2-line by 16-character display and a 4-line by 20-character display. We will use the 4-line by 20-character display for our command station. LCD displays also come with various types of serial interfaces, or sometimes with no interface at all. We want a display with an I2C serial interface or adapter, which is sometimes referred to as a backpack. We will need an LCD with an I2C backpack in order for our DCC-EX command station to communicate with the display. I2C, which is also written as IIC, stands for Inter-Integrated Circuit and is a two-wire communication protocol that electronic devices can use to communicate with each other. This is also known as two-wired interface, or TWI. We will often see the same LCD display advertised as being compatible with I2C, IIC, and TWI, and they all mean the same thing. We can readily find these on Amazon. I've had good luck with this GeekPi brand display I purchased in early 2023 for $11. Or if you like, you can buy two for $17. And yes, DCC-EX can support more than one display at a time, with different text on each. But that is a topic for another video. Just make sure you purchase the 20x4 version, not the 16x2, unless for some reason you only want a two-line display. And again, make sure you buy a display with the I2C interface or backpack already attached. You can easily see the I2C adapter mounted on the back of the display. Again, I'll include a link for the display in this video's description. There is one other item to point out while we are on the subject. On one end of the interface adapter, there is a set of jumper pins. In some photos, we can see a jumper installed on these pins, while in others it is absent. These jumper pins send power to the display's backlight. When you receive your display, you will want to make sure that the jumper is installed, or else the display won't light up. I have read some reviews online of other brands that did not include the jumpers, or that instead soldered the jumper pins together. Again, I had no problems with the GeekPi brand display. The other item we will need is a package of female-to-female breadboard jumper wires. You should already have these if you purchased the ribbon cable variety pack I recommended for the Wi-Fi installation. If not, get some now. The 20 cm length is a convenient size, although if you plan to locate your display somewhere away from the command station, you might decide to go with longer ones. However, the I2C protocol is only intended to cover short distances, so no guarantees how well the really long ones will work. I'll also include some links for the wires in this video's description. We now have all the items we'll need. Step 2. Connect the LCD display to the Arduino. It's now time to connect the LCD display to the Arduino Mega microcontroller at the heart of our DCC-EX Command Station. This is very simple to do, as long as we pay attention to the labels on the pins. First, let's make sure we unplug all the power to the command station, including the USB cable and the track power. Now, let's peel off a set of 4 female-to-female jumper wires from our ribbon cable. What we are going to do is use the wires to connect the 4 pins on the LCD display's I2C backpack adapter to the I2C channel on the Arduino. The easiest way to do this is to connect the wires to the matching I2C pins on the motor shield, which will then pass the signals through to the Arduino microcontroller. Take a look at the 4 pins on the LCD display's adapter. The GND or ground and VCC or voltage pins are for power to the LCD display, while the SDA and SCL pins are the serial data and clock pins for the I2C communications channel. Now take a look at the top of the motor shield, just next to the edge of the Wi-Fi shield, and you will see the same 4 pins. The only difference is that on the motor shield, the voltage pin is labeled plus 5V instead of VCC. We are going to use our 4 jumper wires to connect each pin on the LCD display to the identical pin on the motor shield. So we will connect the GND pin on the LCD to the GND pin on the motor shield, the VCC pin on the LCD to the plus 5V pin on the motor shield, the SDA pin on the LCD to the SDA pin on the motor shield, and the SCL pin on the LCD to the SCL pin on the motor shield. Carefully slide one end of the wire's female connectors over the pins on the LCD display and the other end over the pins on the motor shield. Here I started with the LCD first, but you may find it easier to do the motor shield first. Check the wire colors to make sure that you have connected the identical pins together. So for example, in this case, I have the blue wire on the ground pins, the green wire on the voltage pins, the yellow wire on the SDA data pins, and the orange wire on the SCL clock pins. Gently press the wire connectors all the way onto the pins and make sure they are firmly seated. And check one more time to make sure that each wire is attached to the same type of pin at each end. Go ahead and plug the USB cable back into the Arduino and let it boot. The display should light up, but you will only see a blank screen with 2 rows of boxes. We have now assembled the hardware for our LCD display. Next, let's configure DCC-EX to let it know what we have done. Step 3. Configure DCC-EX for the LCD display. Now that we have connected an LCD display to our command station, let's configure the DCC-EX code to make it work. By default, DCC-EX comes configured for a 2-line, 16-character display. We need to let it know that we have a 4-line, 20-character display. So let's open the DCC-EX sketch in the Arduino IDE, as we have done in prior videos. Using the button with the 3 dots in the tab bar at the top right corner of the window, let's open the tab with our config.h file that we copied and edited with our Wi-Fi network password in the last video. Remember, it will be down near the bottom of the menu. Now, starting from the top of the config.h file, let's scroll down past the Wi-Fi information we added in the last video and find the line that says, Define LCD screen usage by the base station. In this section, we need to find the line that says #define LCD driver 0x27,16,2. You will notice that this line starts with 2 forward slashes, which means that the IDE will treat it as a comment and ignore the line when it compiles the code. So we need to start by deleting the 2 slashes. Once we do this, we should see the text change color to green and orange, just like all the other definitions in the code. Now, as I mentioned before, DCC-EX comes configured for a 2-line, 16-character display, so we need to change the code to let the command station know we have a 4-line, 20-character display. On that line that we just uncommented, we need to change the 16 to a 20 and the 2 to a 4. If we add 2 forward slashes at the end of the line, we can add a short note about what we've done. Once we've done that, we can upload the code to the Arduino using the small round upload button, just like we've done before. That's all there is to it. The command station will reboot, and we should see some basic information about DCC-EX, including its version number, power status, and free memory in the display. After a moment, a second screen will appear with the DCC-EX Wi-Fi server IP address and port number. Before we go on, let's take a moment to adjust the contrast on the LCD panel. On the backpack adapter on the back side of the display, we will find a small blue box with a screw dial in the middle of it, which is a potentiometer that we can use to adjust the contrast of the display. Use a screwdriver to adjust this based on your lighting conditions and viewing angle. You may have to experiment with it a few times to get it just right. We're off to the locomotive races. All aboard! Just a reminder that sometimes we may need to cycle the power after we update the command station in order for the Wi-Fi shield to reconnect to our network. So if you see a message in the display from DCC-EX that there is no Wi-Fi, unplug the USB cable, wait a few moments, and then plug it back in again and wait for the command station to reboot. Step 4. Customize DCC-EX for the LCD display. Now let's look at a few different ways to customize the information displayed on the LCD. Let's start by modifying the main sketch for the command station, which is called CommandStation-EX.INO. This should be at the very top of the list in the 3 dots menu. Let's scroll down in the Command Station EX.INO sketch and find the line that says Display Start in orange letters. You will see that the first line in this section of code is a comment that tells us that DCC-EX tries to send information to the LCD display even if we don't have an LCD display connected to our command station. Remember before when we saw information about the LCD display show up in the debug console? This is why, and it is intentional. Now let's look at the 2 lines of code that display information on the LCD. DCC-EX can store up to 8 lines of information to display on the LCD, 4 lines at a time, and these 8 lines are numbered from 0 to 7. So the first line of code that we see here will display the DCC-EX version number on the first line in the display, which is LCD line 0. The next line of code will display the version of the open source GPL, or General Public License, that DCC-EX is distributed under on LCD line 1, which is actually the second line in the display. This license grants us legal permission to use the DCC-EX software. Let's bump these down a line and add our own message at the top of the screen. We'll place our mouse cursor at the beginning of the line that starts with LCD parentheses 0 and hit return or enter to add a line. Then we'll type LCD parentheses 0, comma, capital F, parentheses, double quotes, your message here, end quotes, close parentheses, semicolon. You can replace the your message here with your own text. Just remember that it can only be 20 characters max. For reference, your message here is 17 characters. So what does this all mean? LCD is the DCC-EX function that sends information to the LCD display. The parentheses serve as the container for our function. The 0 means we are going to display this information in LCD line 0, which is the first top line in the display. The comma separates the number of the line we want to display the information on, 0 in this case, from the information we actually want to display, which is what comes after the comma. The F, along with the second set of parentheses, is another function we need to convert the text we want to display into the numerical data that we will actually send to the LCD. And we need to include our message in quotes to let DCC-EX know that we want to display the text exactly as written. Finally, we need to end our line of code with a semicolon to indicate that we are done. Now that we have added our own message to appear in the first line at the top of the LCD display, LCD line 0, let's bump the DCC-EX and GPL version numbers down 1 line each. We'll just change the 0 to a 1 for the LCD function to display the DCC-EX version, and the 1 to a 2 for the LCD function for the GPL license number. While we're at it, let's document what we've done by adding some comments at the end of each line by using 2 forward slashes after the semicolon and leaving ourselves a note. Finally, let's add one more line of text to the display to let us know that the base station is booting when we power it on. Place the cursor at the end of the line with the GPL version and hit return. Now we'll type the following: LCD parentheses 3, comma, capital F parentheses, double quotes, base station booting, end quotes, close parentheses, semicolon. Now let's upload the code to the Arduino using the round upload button, just like before. This will provide us with a visual confirmation whenever the DCC-EX Command Station starts up. Moreover, once DCC-EX has finished booting, it will overwrite this line of text on the display with the amount of free memory, letting us know that we are ready to run our trains. All aboard! In a later video, I will show you some other ways to customize the text on the LCD display, such as by displaying the ID number and speed of your locomotives, or by displaying messages when you run a DCC-EX automation. But that's local switching, and we've got fast freight to move today. So keep that throttle notched all the way to the left, because we're not at the terminal quite yet. Step 5. A case for our DCC-EX Command Station. We have now assembled all the parts for our DCC-EX Command Station, including the Arduino, motor shield, Wi-Fi shield, and an LCD display. We may still need to do some other work on the hardware later, such as downgrading the firmware on our Wi-Fi chip, connecting a DCC-EX fast clock to the command station, or wiring up turnouts and signals. But let's take a moment to think about a case for our command station. There are a few different options for mounting the DCC-EX command station, either with or without a case. Unfortunately, there really aren't any pre-manufactured cases available for sale specifically designed for the DCC-EX command station with its motor shield, Wi-Fi shield, and 4-line LCD display. There are some DCC-EX case designs available for 3D printers, so if you have a 3D printer, that could be an option you might consider. Another option is to find a suitably sized project box and modify it to suit by cutting out holes for the wiring and display. You could also mount the command station and LCD display on a board, or you could mount the command station somewhere under your layout with the LCD display mounted separately and not use a case at all. For myself, I found these plastic receptacle boxes with clear lids from my local home improvement store were just what I needed. They come in 2 sizes, standard and deep, which has a taller lid. I went with the standard size. It's a snug fit, but I made it work. You might want to modify it by cutting out some holes and trimming the plastic to accommodate the wiring and USB plug. Also make sure to use an insulating material so that none of the exposed components on the bottom of the LCD display come into contact with the other parts of the command station. We have now assembled a complete DCC-EX command station and are ready to run some trains. Step 6. Run some trains. Let's go run some trains. If you have been using the free version of the Y-Throttle app, you might consider upgrading to the full version. In addition to the features I described in the last video, such as offering a dual throttle and the ability to run DCC-EX automation sequences, the full version also adds the ability to consist your locomotives. We've only just touched the surface of what DCC-EX can do and how you can use DCC-EX on your layout. In future videos, we'll look at a few of the other things we can do with DCC-EX, both with additional hardware as well as by modifying the code. One of our first hardware projects will be to assemble a DCC-EX fast clock using an Arduino Uno and a touchscreen display, which will then connect to the command station. On the software side, we'll experiment with some more automations and find ways to show additional information on our new LCD display. Later on, we'll look at adding sensors, signals, and maybe even turnout control. But all that will have to wait because we've got other traffic to clear first. After taking care of some unfinished business, I want to introduce you to JMRI, the Java Model Railroad Interface, and show you how to use JMRI with DCC-EX and the Y-Throttle app to program and control your DCC locomotives. We'll also look at some of the other types of throttles you can use to control your trains using JMRI and DCC-EX together. But we just passed the last mile marker and I can see red signals in the distance, so we better start backing off the throttle and get ready to apply the brakes. What's next? Installing the correct Wi-Fi firmware for DCC-EX. In my next video, I'll show you how to check the firmware version of the Espressif Wi-Fi chip on the Wi-Fi shield of your command station, and how to upgrade or downgrade the firmware to the correct version for DCC-EX. After that, we'll switch to the software track and look how to create a simple automation, as well as how to show our locomotive speed and DCC address in the LCD display. So put your name on the crew board and get some rest, because I'm sure that phone call to report for duty will come soon enough.
Dispatcher to the work extra. Let's copy a new warrant. Over. Work extra ready to copy. Over.
Until then, thanks for watching. Well, Scratchy, how was your first day back? Yes, I missed you too. All aboard!